Tuesday, February 6th, Parks Advisory Board meeting, roll call. Richard Heisey. Here. Peter Argentine. Here. Bennett Aiken. Rob Mackey. Here. Danya Elias. Kelly Ogrodnik.
Here.
Tom Shevchuk. Here. Commissioner Grella is not able to attend. Thank you, Staff Liaison Rudy Sukol. Thank you, Staff Liaison Phil Volio. Declaration of a quorum. Good. Citizens' comments, 5 minutes each. Anyone
Let
online?
me check attendee.
Zero.
Approval of November minutes.
Why not?
Motion to approve. Second. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Okay, Public Works updates on grounds, facilities, trees, etc. Mr. Volio.
We met on site this past month with Forever Lawn and a couple of our machine operators to get our eyes on the Church Place Fall Zone project. We're gonna have a mix of contractual plus in-house talents from our operators and laborers over there, so it'll be a nice project where you see a good amount of our involvement as well as contractors as well. So that'll be replacement of that fall zone. It'll add inclusive play elements to a pretty tight park that it's hard to add things to. And those are quick improvements. Gonna look at other things while we're there, obviously, trying to pick a lot of master plan items off at Church Place, almost like a wholesale approach, but obviously budget, time, manpower dictate that. So hopefully you'll see elements like the split rail will get replaced with the kind of the standard railing we've been doing around Bird. And probably some other amenities that we're looking into as well. Other than that, the guys have been elevating some of the dormant trees in Iroquois, Williamsburg, that kind of encroach on the shelters, play equipment, fences for basketball, that type of thing. So they're trying to get through a lot of the parks here before, we lose that dormant pruning ability. And the signage is still moving forward. It was reviewed, the RFP was reviewed by our little staff team previous week. And then this week it'll go to Colano to make sure there's no big gaps or anything like that. We've also had a couple conversations with some folks over at Findlay Township. They recently did some neat ID type signage implements throughout their community that are similar in nature to what we're doing. So just talking through some things with them, they have an idea on number, scope, hours for install. Very similar thing, one single post, double post, nice standard signs, so.
Did the numbers come back good, relatively?
That's our last call tomorrow with them. So based on that, we'll kind of know, we won't really know until obviously we go out and get pricing, but we'll have a general ballpark of, I think whether or not it'll rise to the level of commission approval and that type of dollar. So asking them for a la carte pricing and then a wholesale pricing of if we were to do everything all at once. So that's kind of the two options we put forward to see how we can best manage and implement all these signage installs. That's it right now, a little quiet time of the year kind of for parks.
Just two quick things, sticking with Phil's themes here with signs and trees. Our forestry crew has about 5 requests left for dormant pruning for oaks along street trees. So our whole backlog will be cleaned up. We never had anything more than 6 months backlog just because of weather, and we can only prune during dormancy. So they're gonna be wrapping those up here very shortly. Weather's cooperated, a little less snow and ability to get out there and work on them. So that'll be done. And then you may or may not have seen, we had an accident about 2 weeks ago, late Friday night. Someone ran over the Mission Hills sign off of Washington Road at Jefferson. basically destroyed it. So it's an old sign. We had it refinished probably about 15, 20 years ago. But it has, cast iron, kind of fluted, posts that it was mounted to, and those snapped off, and they were kind of corroded anyway on the inside. So I'm meeting with Sign Innovation is the company. They actually did the Lebanon Hills sign for the folks down at the next intersection down by Park Entrance a few years ago. And so was able to get their contact information from Faith Willard, who worked with the group of residents there. And the guy's gonna come from that outfit and come and look at the sign that hopefully we can salvage it. If not, then we're gonna have to remanufacture it. It's gonna be expensive, but it was a vehicle accident, and it was, we got their insurance and everything, so it'll be on the.
There was a shop downtown that did wrought iron work and would replicate things that had been
Okay.
broken.
Well, I'd like, what my goal is to get one company that they will do the legwork on that. So I just need a price for the insurance company to replace that. Maybe I might reach out to you if I get stuck here, but,
I know another signage company in north of here, but also I did,
Yeah, there's somebody,
These folks are up
if
in
you had like a
Sealand,
wrought iron
Right,
railing or
there's
something
ones
where
in
some
West.
sections went
Okay.
bad, they could replicate it.
okay,
but also I know especially steel manufacturers, a Mount Lebanon resident and a wrought iron person who is also Mount Lebanon resident.
okay.
So,
All right, I'm gonna reach out to you then. I'm gonna see what these folks have to say Thursday
yeah,
morning.
but it would be like channeling it.
Yeah, okay. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Rudy. Hope no one's hurt.
No, it was, one person in the vehicle. They ran off the road, ran into the sign, actually damaged our traffic signal controllers
Oh,
too.
boy.
The signals went on flash. Our technician came out in the morning with our contractor. And they were able to get them to function. Now we have to replace all that equipment. There's computers and everything else, and in those cabinets, those silver cabinets that you see, yeah, it's not cheap. That was about $50,000 to replace that equipment. That's not including the sign. And I talked to a fellow from Matthews who worked down there about 40 years and retired. I thought he might be interested in trying to guide us through this, but yeah, and he, cause they won't work directly with you. You have to work through a company or whatever, but, he said that sign alone, if we have to remanufacture, it's gonna probably be between $7,000 and $10,000 probably, just for the sign alone. It's 7 feet long, 18 inches tall, and 7/8 of an inch thick. And folks were on social media, the biggest thing was everybody was worried it was gonna get stolen. Well, we had to take a backhoe up there to get it with a strap, load it in a truck. There was no carrying that thing home, no. They were gonna throw it on their bicycle, yeah. So we loaded that up and we have it down at Public Works under 24-hour guard now, so, yeah. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Commission update, Commissioner Grella unable to attend. We are recording so he can watch online later. Thank you. Park visits. So I took some pictures to aid in our discussions. We'll start with the Hoodridge Conservation Area. And as I find my screen here to share, would anyone like to add, their comments on Hoodridge?
Well, I didn't get there for this trip, but I have outstanding comments from our last visit there, which is that, I just paid my stormwater fee and, there's multiple places where there's white piping going from residential houses into the creek. We had on Mayfair, dye testing on the whole street, so it just doesn't seem right to me that. And I brought it up to inspection and, it, didn't really get any response to it, quite honestly. But that was over our last park visit that was scheduled there. There also is a case of somebody's fence intruding, which there's another thing I'm gonna report on tonight, but there's someone put a fence that does,
That one?
at least according to my app, intrudes, yeah, that one there intrudes into the park property.
Yeah, so there's a fair amount of encroachment. We've talked about the boundary issue
White pipe,
before
yeah.
and several instances of that white pipe. That is upstream of the sidewalk at Marshall.
And there's multiple of them, and there's some places where it actually sits above the trail, kind of providing a tripping hazard. So it'd be very easy to find out, you know, where the source of the water is, I think, coming from, unless it's a French drain.
So, yeah, I noted encroachment, rain conductors into the stream bed. And that's all upstream. And once you go downstream of Marshall, a ways you get into the knotweed and privet, pretty heavily infested down there.
I was out there a couple weeks ago. I couldn't really find a path left anymore.
It's a short one.
It's really worth it.
The stormwater inlet at Marshall has a habit of clogging up.
Frequently.
Gateway produced the Kelly, I can share this on the screen. Sign for remedy. Thanks, Rudy, for printing this out for us. Sorry, it's kind of small on the screen, Kelly, but
No, it's okay. I'm able to zoom in. I'm on my iPad, so I'm able to pinch the screen and zoom in, so it looks good.
so what I gathered after looking up some acronyms, the four dark rectangles at the very center are 30-inch plastic pipe.
Yeah,
Corrugated.
it would be like a culvert pipe. There's a couple options. This is just a conceptual.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and talk about it a little?
Yeah, go,
Okay.
please.
So as you can see, like in the northeast corner, there's the head wall. The image that you had, that's where we have all the problems. There's a lot of sediment, there's a lot of materials that float down and it gets jammed up at that head wall. Yeah, right where you're pointing now, Rob. So that's the problem. It's a
And that's where
pinch
it
point
goes
for,
underground.
and it goes underground right now underneath of that path and it surfaces back out on the low end, like on the southwest corner of this drawing, this conceptual drawing. So the thought was, and we would get credit for MS4 as well, is to open this back up to an open stream channel and eliminate that piping and allow the water to flow like it naturally did originally before this area was developed. Now, we do have to maintain a path or a walkway from Marshall over to the Eisenhower. That's school kids and you know, everyone uses that walkway. There's a set of steps, like if you keep going north on that path, yeah, just beyond where it cuts off, there's a set of steps, and then Eisenhower runs parallel to the stream bed up above that. That's a cul-de-sac street over in south section. So we have a couple options there. We could use like a culvert pipe, you know, kind of a concrete precast rectangular type of pipe to open that up and continue the path over it. We could put a small pedestrian bridge in there, or we could use multiple pipes and try and spread the flow out underneath of there, but you have a short enough distance that it's easier to manage and it won't get plugged up. If it does, it's much quicker to resolve than having to take an excavator, a mini excavator and backhoe over there and dig that out every couple months. We have to dig that thing out, and there's really there's no access. It's hard to get a truck back there to haul that stuff out. So, and it's always wet back in there. It's a low point. So it's just a bad area to try to maintain. So this is the solution. And I've battled this for years. I mean, this has been a maintenance nightmare for forever, as long as it's been put in. And I've been wanting to do this for years. And it's just one of those things that we keep, you know, other things pop up that are more important. People are getting flooded. This will pond and flood back here. We've had logs get jammed and wedged in those pipes where we've had to actually go down in and cut them with hand saws in the manholes, right downstream of the walking path with the existing pipes. But, you know, it's one of those things that no homes are getting damaged. It's not really harming anybody's property for the most part, other than this floods a bit whenever, you know, it does get jammed up. So, you know, our priorities are with areas where damage to property and homes are consistent or chronic. Ice spots in the wintertime, you know, so we're adding drainage and capacity and conveyance with stormwater pipes to convey the water that's being pumped out onto the street, and trying to address those, you know, more important things that are more of a hazard to the community and so forth. So we will get this done. I think our estimate for this project in 18, when it was conceptually drawn up, was around $75,000 to $100,000 to do this, to get in there with a machine, a contractor, you know, and and open this back up to a channel, because there's permitting that has to be done with this, because it is a stream bed. So we'd have to go through DEP and have a general permit for this and so forth and have approval, and that's the time on that too.
This, were these concrete pipes,
That's where the flow goes right now. You see the pipe you're on, that's, it goes down through there and then
comes out down?
daylight's out below, right?
Now, this one is also going downhill, but a very,
That's the
low
pipe,
slope.
yeah, that's the pipe that goes from the head wall to the manhole, and then from the manhole to the outfall. So that's how it's piped now,
So is that going to be,
eliminated,
that's what
Yeah.
that's what I figured based on the
Right.
elevation, but.
right? It'll all be surface flow then,
Okay.
eliminate that piping.
What do you think is the best solution in terms of keeping the walkway of those options?
Probably a culvert pipe or something, like a culvert, a box culvert or something like that, that's rectangular, that you can keep the flow going through there and, manage the water.
Cause a dip in the.
Right. Yeah, it's actually probably gonna be a little bit of a hump, so we probably have to taper the path back a ways, so we don't have too steep of an angle coming in or going out.
I meant in terms of the stream bank below it eroding out like in the Bird Park.
Well, we're gonna manage the stream bank, so we're gonna do something similar to what we did in Bird Park with like the core logs and those type of things to make sure we don't see any erosion over there. So that'll be part of the project, and that's what's gonna bump the cost up a little bit as well.
able to drive across it?
We probably will have to make sure that we can, because we still have, infrastructure to maintain on the other side. There's a set of steps that are just beyond, like I said, where this picture is, so,
Pretty significant.
yeah, railings and concrete and so forth, so, but we could access that from Eisenhower too, from the other side, so. But if we want to come in from the low end, then yeah, we'd have to come in from Marshall to get over there.
The pipes, the culvert would keep the water flowing underneath.
Underneath the walkway, right?
Underneath the walkway. That would be much better for the winter time especially.
Wintertime's really not a problem, it's the heavy rain, well, it rained pretty heavy last week and we got a lot of groundwater, but
You'd get, if it ever backed up, you would get debris overtopping
it does that now.
and it would be left there. I'm just wondering if, instead of putting the water underneath intentionally,
You put a path through and let it water
let it water
over the
over top
top, yeah.
and have it.
That's an
wide
option too,
concrete
yeah.
and significant so that your equipment is,
No bridges or
on a
anything like
firm
that.
bed and nothing's elevated.
Right, that's a
Nothing,
good,
there's nothing to clog at that point. The problem would be debris would settle
Mhm.
probably.
it's a lot easier to manage there than it is right now, the way it is now.
Okay, well, that'd be great. And if it's, if you can do the bank restoration downstream.
Yeah.
This is a great place to start. I'd say, as far as community outreach goes, they want the two neighbors here,
Yeah,
Constantino and Griffin, want some remedy.
Yeah. I've spoken to them,
They're
sure.
gonna lose a lot of, privet shrubs, which wouldn't be a bad thing either, because they're all it's all in the park.
Yeah,
So, I mean, maybe get some communication and work some.
yeah.
So this is on its slate. It is slated to.
It's not final, but that's part of our stormwater management package. So we decide on projects based on funding the levels that we have every year, so.
Crisis.
Yeah, and what else pops up in between now and then, that's right. This has been, we've gotten close to doing this a couple of years, but got pushed back because some other things came up that we had to deal with.
I just
And
want
we put, sorry, I was gonna ask about, since we're gonna be disturbing the banks and bringing in machinery, can we think about putting in a walking trail, even a single track trail identified, on either side of the bank?
I mean, I don't know that area is really conducive to that. You'd have to have you gone down and looked at it?
I did, last year I did walk, I went on that walkway, I went up the steps trying to figure out how to get into Hood Ridge Park.
Yeah.
And I did start walking, I guess that would be west. Yeah, and then didn't get very far. So,
It's much easier to walk now with less foliage and all the leaves down, but there isn't really much of a path once maybe.
Just a little bit of bushwhacking.
Yeah, it really wouldn't go.
But I like your idea. I think this project is the start of it.
Cause right now there's nowhere to walk to.
Right.
Really.
Well, but with the walkway coming through, this seems like a natural starting point for a connecting point. And I just have I have a satellite image up here, to take you down through the woods and over to Terrace, possibly. Thinking about the connectivity, I mean, I think it's worthy of conversation, considering if we're trying to connect all the green spaces or as many as we can, we're gonna be doing this work. If we can carve out a flat shelf there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can take a look at that whenever the project is done. That wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, realistically, we're gonna open this up anyway, and, you know, we're creating a channel down through there to conduct the storm water.
Here's the
Mhm.
point, here's the point we're talking about. Oh, I'm not sharing that, sorry. This is the site of the.
Mhm.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's where I parked on Marshall. I walked down that path, went down through that backyard and went southwest slightly and didn't get very far. That was last year. That was in the middle of summer. Yeah, I got probably about where your cursor is. I don't remember the slopes on either side, the banks being significant there, but I don't know what happens as you continue west toward Terrace.
Really not-
It's pretty flat,
It's
yeah.
pretty
it's not-
flat. It's really not that bad.
not big.
Because utilities run down through there,
Right.
there's still
It's a
an
wide
access.
area, so the water kind of fans out there. It doesn't really run in a channel.
There's a, I'm assuming Duquesne Light
Yeah,
facility right
substation,
here.
right, exactly.
So you can walk pretty easily through this because there's a power line that runs through there.
There's a gas line buried there too, so and sanitary sewer that runs down through there too.
This is also where the privet and the knotweed are really thick. So,
So we should put our BMX track and skate.
yeah, I mean,
park.
it'd be a
That
great,
whole area.
it'd be a great bike
And
park.
seriously, it's a great place
It's a
to,
great
yeah,
bike
we're gonna
park.
put a skateboard park in Mount Lebanon. That'd be a great place to put it.
So last year, this was in one of the sketches when we were talking about mobility. So Ian has the idea, it's in the PowerPoint. Because if you want to connect the Foster Hoodridge
Mhm.
neighborhoods with Galleria, this is a key conduit.
The one place that it does get really steep is Terrace is kind of elevated, the street itself, so there's a steep slope, yeah. As you leave that or enter that space there, it gets pretty steep right there behind that newer house that was built.
And the concrete pipe under here is only suitable for 12-year-olds and younger.
Yeah, we have to keep that one clean. That one's not as bad. It doesn't get debris down there. I think because it gets filtered before it gets down there. The other one,
It's so flat.
yeah, exactly. And there's grasses and there's natural vegetation there that kind of filters out the water before it gets down there. You'll get a log that'll float down every once in a while. We have to, we check those periodically. At least,
Do you know anyone in the Hoodridge, Hoodridge Highlands area that you could nudge to make a public comment to Ian saying, we know on a map we have a park, but we don't have a park?
No, I don't. I know. No, I do. Looking at the map here, Ridge. Oh yeah, actually, wow. Ridgeway. I didn't realize that Ridgeway was, is that,
Yeah.
no, not Ridgeway. I do know somebody over there. Ridgeview, they're on Ridgeview, not Ridgeway. Yeah, so nearly backing up to it. So it would require a public comment to Ian if we're gonna be spending money on a project like this to potentially add an access point. And I mean, we already have the access point with the steps and the paved trail.
I think it takes people going to commission meetings and lobbying for things. That's just my
Mhm.
sense.
It does fit in perfectly with the comp plan.
Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
And it technically could connect through Galleria to the rest of Iroquois.
Public Works.
And eventually.
Yeah, and just curious about, you know, how conversation works among staff. I mean, Phil and Rudy, is this something that that you could communicate with Ian on, or would it require citizens or one of
No,
us?
we'll mention it to him and remind him if it's already been said to him. Sure.
Is, I can't tell from the picture there, and I don't remember whether there's a sidewalk along Connor Road.
Not.
And I didn't think so.
And the property's private down below Terrace, west of Terrace.
Terrace, that was my next
Yeah, that's
question.
private property.
Okay, so there's not a right of way or something?
It's not.
No, but I mean, the Connor Road sidewalk question is,
There's not a lot of room there, but
Well, that way all the way down through.
Gilkison and everything else, yeah.
That's a really missed
It
opportunity.
drops right off.
To not have a sidewalk that goes
Yeah.
through that whole corridor.
That would be a great area. I'm thinking back into the park, would be a great area to have like an elevated boardwalk, totally different experience than what we have anywhere else in Mount Lebanon to,
Yep.
you know, preserve
not?
the stormwater management features down there. But I think that would probably require maybe grant funding or something, probably that would be a costly project.
yeah, it's a good spot, you're right, because it's so flat.
Right.
Iroquois downstream of the big outfall, same thing I just discovered. I've never been down there. We'll see that in a minute. Any other comments for Hoodridge?
This is great, a great start, so thank you. Glad to see it moving.
Right across Connor Road, you have Highland Terrace, nice little park. Looks great.
That was just redone, probably about 10, 15 years ago.
Thanks for fixing the fence. That was mentioned last year. It's fixed. With the vegetation down, I pulled this, sign post that I think was ejected from Connor Road. And it's laying behind the fence, so probably easy to grab for someone now.
They could leverage the Lebanon Hill sign into the back.
Maybe someone can pick that up. Unless I'm planning a scrapyard trip, I'll grab it. It's kind of long. I think it's like 10 feet long. Any comments for Highland Terrace?
I don't have any.
They have a little donation brick. I don't know what you call it. Walkway. Seems like residents contributed. A resident mentioned at one point in my tenure, the desire for a single swing, a single child swing. What they have in the way of swings now is bench swing. So this is one of the things that if we already have this donation brick idea, basically there's some blank bricks there. They wanna,
Recreation, I think, handles those donation bricks, right, Phil?
Yeah, we've done a couple recently at Martha's.
Yeah, we
and
install them,
Country
but
Club.
that goes through recreation, so.
so if anybody's listening that's interested in a single swing, you know, like a toddler swing or something, I think that'd be a reasonable way to.
I don't know that we have the room or the ball zone areas over there. For that.
That's, the bench
Yeah.
doesn't fall under playground equipment, so you can put them anywhere. That is simply a swinging bench.
I see.
Just weird to comprehend because a swing is like a swinging bench. But that bench does not have a fall zone, a certain use area. Doesn't mean anything can't be looked at, but there's likely a reason that there may not be one there right now.
Okay,
But
It's not a lot
there's
of
new
room, it's
product
not a lot
out,
of
so.
acreage here, so.
thank you.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. Any other questions, comments for Highland Terrace? Okay. Iroquois. The outfall, which I think you're familiar with, has a tree down across it. that's downstream of the park, main park area. And I think you said that's on your radar,
Yes,
that hanging outfall.
there's a combined project. We have to do that, and that pipe actually is a corrugated metal pipe. It needs to be rerouted because it's starting to corrode on the inside, and we don't want to lose that. That's underneath of that cul-de-sac of Iroquois. So that's a project we have on the books too. It just needs to be funded, and that's one of the many stormwater projects that we have. And that's in combination with another up, that last house on the right. I don't know what the house number is. There's a storm pipe that runs off of Allendale, comes down, hangs a right. That's corrugated metal pipe too, and there's some decay in there, so we're gonna be replacing open trench and replacing that.
Is that possibly this outfall here?
No, that's different.
It's downstream on the right-hand bank, kinda.
Is that coming off of Gilkison? Is it
No.
flowing from Gilkison?
No, it's,
Probably Forest Glen then, maybe.
yeah,
Okay,
somewhere up.
that would be Forest Glen up that way, or, yeah,
And I noticed it's, might be hard to see in the picture, but the concrete is disconnected from the,
on the end wall there. Okay.
inside. And this is all knotweed through here.
Okay.
I've just now read that knotweed can damage infrastructure. I don't know, can
It'll,
it push it?
up against the house, it'll break the foundations. Like in the UK, it's a big problem. with
Probably what happened there, it looks
storing-
like,
Like houses have to get down because nothing gets, it breaks the walls.
that looks like the water may have scoured underneath of the end wall, and it didn't support the end of it, and it kind of flipped forward to me from the picture. That'd be my guess. The water, the force of the water coming off it, yeah, exactly. It scoured it underneath of the end wall, the front edge of the end wall.
So anyway, that's downstream,
How far, Rob?
right descending bank,
How far down do you think?
100 yards from
Okay.
the.
From the end of the cul-de-sac, okay,
Well, from the end of that guy's lawn.
where he mows?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, Upper Sinclair is pretty much putting riprap at the,
Yeah.
every outfall as they
it
rebuild.
looks like it either has or had energy dissipators on it to keep the water from channeling and to spread it out a little bit, but
So where that mowing stops, the knotweed starts, and it is actually really easy to walk through this time of year because it's all knotweed. I
yeah.
mean, you can just kind of swim your way through it. So that's kind of some challenges, but on the bright side, looking upstream, like this is awesome.
Yeah.
And probably the neighborhood knows it's there, but no one else knows this is here. Oh, yes. I mean, it's-
Last time I was there, last summer, I think it was, there was the Markham first grade, second grade had a welcome back picnic right before the school year started. So there were probably 100 kids down there playing at the playground and kids in the stream playing. And oh my goodness, as I went closer, the smell was just, it was really bad. Is it, what is that? Is it coming from that culvert? The one that we're looking at right now? Where does the smell come from? And is it, I can't remember what the conditions were, whether we had a lot of rain or if it had been dry. Or if there are manholes around there, but do you know, Rudy and Phil, what is connected? Is that all storm coming through that culvert, or is there potentially sewage
Just The
overflow?
low area, all the water flows through there. I mean, that's a main, interceptor, so there's sanitary, it's piped, it's not flowing in a creek, obviously, but it's piped. So if you ever smell odor, you need to call us and let us know so we can investigate it. I mean,
Okay,
This is the first I'm hearing of it, and I haven't had any other calls about it since or
Yeah.
then, so I have to assume that, I mean, people confused when people were mulching, if it was in the spring, that odor. I'll get calls about sore calls in the spring, and, it's just because of the compost or the mushroom manure or mulch that's being moved, and it has a certain odor to it that can be,
I recall seeing an EPA map that said there was some mine drainage in that area too.
You won't usually get odor from that. I mean, it has to be pretty severe sulfur water, sulfur, You usually don't get that kind of, yeah, exactly.
I was wondering how you get mine drainage in that area.
Yeah, I
The
don't,
mines are so deep.
maybe down further, cause I know there's some mines down towards like Jenkins,
Painters.
and yeah, down on the lower Painters Run.
No,
I've seen
they
some,
had the Sunville right in there, right? Like right across from Cedar. I'm like, why would that be?
Yeah.
This did not look like it was impacted by that.
nah,
And on this visit, I didn't smell anything.
Oh, good. Yeah, it may have just been, so there's a sanitary line that runs underground. There may be
manhole.
manhole there that maybe I was just standing near one, and I kind of just assumed that the smell was coming out of the culvert. So that's good to know. I was
Yeah.
just so curious, and this is a good
Yeah.
opportunity to
Yeah,
ask.
just don't hesitate to call us if you do whiff an odor somewhere, because it's a lot easier to track it down and do an investigation than it is trying to find it afterwards, so,
Right.
you know, and
If it was dry before the picnic, I'm
Mhm.
guessing, and this is wild surmise, obviously, that it was probably just off-gassing from the sanitary sewer through a manhole as opposed to a sanitary sewer overflow or something, which can occur, you know, on
Right.
occasion. And get-
Right.
But
Yeah.
usually, Because there's something backed up or blocked, and it's not gonna cure itself usually. We need to
Mhm.
go and either flush the line or recut it or do whatever.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
So you mentioned your crews are out.
And we're living, that one's actually growing. That one there. There's some really extreme reach of sun on that bank back towards,
This is the
What's
fence,
this?
so this is the fence.
Yeah.
I thought it had lost at least half its roots and was leaning, but.
yeah, we're cleaning up. I don't know if we were in here quite today or not, but we are
Might already.
cleaning up. There's some low limbs on some ash trees and stuff in there as you go through that even the mowing guys were complaining about a little bit, so.
This is upstream of the culvert, adjacent to that basketball court, stream bank stabilization. It's not the easiest to see, but I took a couple pictures because this brush layering is working. These plants took, and there are lots of shoots, and the shoots are holding the leaves and other debris that's fallen. This is great. You can barely see the core matting here. This is excellent. So
There's a lot of ferns through there too that have
we'll come up.
petered, yeah. We checked that, I think, 3 times this year because I think the maintenance bond might have ran out on it.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years since we
Yeah.
did that.
So site is specific to this spot, but are there other things about how this was done, be it timing of the planting, contractor, method, spec?
I think this just gets a little more sun down there.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, it's a
more
little
sunny,
more
for sure.
open.
Okay.
I don't think the timing was much different. This was pretty bad too before they started. It was really threatening that basketball court that's there and the fence.
Because this is great, this is a great
Yeah.
outcome. And even, like, I don't know what all of these species are, but I would think there's a lot of deer down there. My buddy lives on Sunny Hill and he walks his dog through the non-dog park, but there's plenty of deer, so there's probably deer browse too, and it's still doing well.
Yep.
So that's a great outcome.
I think it's just in a different environment down there. It just has more sun and it's more open and,
That was a spring plant.
yeah,
That was an early spring project.
yeah.
So it's, I don't know, if you see any opportunities for the next bank restoration to, make it similar, this is a good outcome.
It really didn't haul much off here either. They used pretty much everything that was in the stream there.
Yeah.
Just kind of rearranged it and built those banks back up and then rearranged like that shale and the stone that you see in the base of the channel of the stream. It was pretty amazing the way they did it. Those guys were good.
Even a lot of those concrete pads that Peter had pointed out last
Yeah.
year that were in there, they got sunk back in and.
Tied into the hillside.
And some stuff, so.
Yeah.
Who was, is it okay to ask who the contractor was?
Westmoreland something? Westmoreland, it was Westmoreland something.
And they were in and out like,
Yeah, about
They were
2, 3
really
days,
good.
yeah. We'll
yeah,
look it up. It was Westmoreland something. That's the only job they ever did for us. They've bid on a couple jobs, but that's the only one they ever did.
Okay. Iroquois Park. Comments, questions?
Well, it's a shame that there's not a path that sort of meanders down Gilkerson, following the creek, but, I don't know what, that's probably all private property anyhow, so.
Well, that's a great,
The good part of it is public.
I'm glad you brought that up because, that is another area that I'm not that familiar with. And I walked it all the way for the first time, this time again, because it's with the leaves being down, it's just so easy. So that, culvert, break pipe is right around here. The end of the mowing of the residence is about here. That head wall that's detached is right about where that R is. And then from then on, you can just walk down through the knotweed. Go right up towards the residences on Forest Glen. And the creek is nice and flat. It's big and it's really wide. It's like 12, 14 feet wide. It's eroded down to the bedrock. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like there's much erosion. The one thing about the knotweed, it's holding everything in place really nicely. The water is super clear. But right, to your point, Tom, and to walk from Iroquois all the way down to that condo complex would be great. And isn't there a stairwell that?
We're gonna be rebuilding that. Right now, it's out of service.
Is
It's been out for like
Inglewood?
dead end of Inglewood down to Timber Creek, yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be rebuilt. We're working on that right now. That was funded this past, for the 24 budget.
So Kelly, to your connectivity point, you have stairs here. It gives access to Markham to,
Right, Old Gilchrist.
school kids through here. To have a walking path to Iroquois would create a loop. And it's flat. It's just filled with knotweed and there's no distinct path.
Well, and the great thing about that too is that then you can access the Galleria and then you can go to the light and go across to Fresh Market, all the shops there. I think that's ideally even a selling point for community members or people who are considering moving here to make it truly walking. Then you can actually walk to a grocery store. It'd be very far if you were on the other side of Mount Lebanon, but from that neighborhood or, Mayfair and closer to Gilchrist, definitely doable.
It's a very unknown, I've shown people how to ride a bike down through that Allendale, Iroquois into the mall. And like the people I've shown, they were like shocked. They didn't realize you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole, being able to go from, up through those neighborhoods all the way down to the Galleria.
That's great. Yeah, this summer we were at the Greek Food Fest at the it's not called a church. What is that called across? I can't remember the name, but right across from the Galleria. And then I did take one of my sons. We walked through Iroquois Park, but we did go on Forest Glen. So I know that I think that's private, right? But then at the end we walked up to Longview and Woodhaven and then connected over. And my goodness, I mean, it's amazing being able to cut through there and get all the way over. I'm on Mayfair over to Mayfair, and it was less than a mile. It was awesome.
So what I've always been curious about is why, again, why you can't do something along that stream bed to connect to Old Gilchrist Road and then somehow get all the way through into Cedar.
Yep.
So being able to ride a bike from Main Park all the way to the Galleria. To me, that's the number. If I could do anything for connectivity in Mount Lebanon, it's somehow figuring out, even if you had to do a boardwalk type path on the stream or along the stream to get connectivity. So in essence, then you can do a whole loop. You can go all the way from Main Park down along Gilchrist And then you can go up through those neighborhoods and up Washington. And just being able to do, a whole loop, really up to St. Clair Hospital. Some kind of bike path. So you
Great.
have a loop path around kind of that core of Mount Lebanon. That seems feasible to me if somebody, if the engineering could be done.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to like what the riparian rules and regulations and land ownership and all that sort of stuff.
Well, that's part of the problem. The municipality doesn't know. That's all private land. Once you get down a certain distance from Iroquois Park, it's private. Once you hit Timber Creek, everything from there down is privately owned.
The stream, the
Yeah,
stream's
about right
not
where you're
covered
at there,
in,
Rob.
Yeah.
That's about the property line, yeah,
Yeah,
right in that general location.
you know. You have to get the condo association or something to allow the streams to be
right
moved.
over there.
So thinking about the future of the boards and that sports and parks are going to come together. As Richard, you were just referring to this path, not only could it be connectivity, but like you said, like get on a bike and it becomes a sporting activity and a really great way for people to get exercise. In addition to, the fact that they're also they can, enjoy the parks, they can get to different areas of the community to support local businesses. But, thinking about sports and park coming together, it seems like a network of pathways with that, with multifaceted goals would be a great sell for whoever it needs to be sold to go through all of these areas. Get so many benefits for, you get the exercise, becomes you have coming from the sporting angle, coming from the parks angle.
These types of things are in the comp plan. Specifically mentioned the use of right of ways and short connectors to connect these different neighborhoods. It's there, it's just somebody has to summon the,
What makes it happen?
I mean,
Is it a commissioner getting interested or?
Or do we need to get funding? We need somebody to go out for grants. And it's, millions of dollars. Yeah.
Place first, you have to, like I said, a lot of this is private property, so
Right.
I don't know how you attack that. Is it an easement? Is it acquiring property? But, you have to be able to.
How do you get that plan done, I guess, to make inquiries to the private people?
Start with the planner, I guess, Mr. McMains and his assistant.
I was surprised and pleased to see the appendix of the master plan that had the potential land acquisition plans of, small parcels here and there.
speaking of land acquisition. Any other points about Iroquois?
Meadville Land Service.
Okay, I was thinking there was more, and I'm trying to look it up. Thanks, good job, Phil.
A long way away.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but they were only here like 3 or 4 days.
Might have slept in the excavators.
Yeah, probably.
Rob Hollow Park,
I have
questions?
a citizen complaint.
Sir.
The steps on the switchback line down to the street at Rob Hollow are sketchy and failing. Switchback really isn't a path. I'd recommend someone go hike it. Which, that's pretty much same report we had last time.
If it's even a little bit wet, it's slippery and you fall.
It's
You
dangerous.
go on it probably about once a month.
Yeah. Those,
This is on the,
Opposite side of the steps, that just is where it's, when you come to the pocket part, and you go through, then there's a switchback back and forth.
Yeah,
It's just hard clay, it's not level, and if it's wet, I've gone down that hill twice. I mean, where, falling, where I'm jogging and just you lose footing because it's so slippery and you just go down the hill.
so this gets back to a similar question. This involves some planning because of the slope. and safety involved. Obviously, you can recruit volunteers at a certain point, but first it needs to be planned out. So how would,
This, I
How would we
mean, this was
proceed
one
on
of
this
those projects, it was a Boy Scout project, and now we, this is where we're at with it.
Right.
And I mean, it's not an easy area to put access to. I mean, it's a pretty
Right.
steep slope.
But people
Have the
do
engineer,
still-
have the engineer look at it, and, you have to, like you're saying, you have to be concerned with safety as well.
but I mean, we have to figure out some solution to it because people, it connects one side of Rob Hollow to the other.
Well, and the problem there is too, we're limited, we only have a sliver of property through there.
Right.
Cause you have the back of the cul-de-sac of Firwood there, and those lots are, the lot lines, this is going right up against it, so there's not a lot of property to work with there. So you're forced into an area where you're channeling everything up the slope or down the slope.
So going laterally isn't an option.
No,
And then coming around.
no, cause you have the cliff going on to Painter's Run, and the other side is private property, yeah,
That's why.
it's the back of the lots, yeah.
What a road bridge.
I think, well, wasn't
Yeah,
there,
swing if you.
wasn't there a bridge at some point?
There still is.
There still is a
down
bridge, but you
Little
have to
one
get
down
down
the-
over that,
but then
kill it
there's a
yourself.
Oh, yeah, I thought it
It's a
was
steep hill to get up.
Cable Bridge or something.
No, Brian always joked you might.
Okay, that was a joke.
Yeah, those are wrong things,
Leslie's working.
yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I did it on a dry day. It was okay. But, I mean, we have these exposed pins and, yeah, Boy Scout projects. It's,
Well, Bill, you went in and bent them over at one
We
point.
pounded them down at least 2 years in a
I
row.
pounded some down in Bird Park today with my shovels.
You know, that after Bird Park along that path would be my second choice for where you would do wholesale invasive removal. Because if it's not done along that path soon, you might as well write that path off. It's getting pretty well to the point of failure. You know, the honeysuckle things are getting so dense that, they're becoming umbrellas. So that whole path is kind of losing its nature kind of value. It's just becoming a path through,
the tunnel of honeysuckle.
honeysuckle.
This is behind the Public Works, building. And it is, yeah, I can imagine when it's leaved out, it's probably a pretty dark tunnel through there.
Yeah, the 15 years I've been here, the degradation's been pretty massive. I run down that path at least once a month, and it's really changed. It's really getting overwhelmed.
When do we get the Oikos final presentation?
Did you talk to him at all this week, Phil? He was supposed to be out last week finalizing some stuff. He just wanted to double check on some things.
He doesn't really present it to us though at that point.
I think it's gonna go to the commission on the next one, yeah.
Okay,
This final will go to the commission and
probably within a month.
probably a month, 2 months, I'd say, yeah.
So, right, that ravine with the switchback on one side, the block stairs on the other is problematic, and we have limited options, it seems.
Well, again, if you were serious about connectivity and paths and bike paths, that would be part of the network. You would start at the Galleria, if you could figure out some way, and then you'd connect through, and then you'd have the one shot going up to Main Park, and then you'd have, this lateral going off and connect the other neighborhoods. And that's really if you could make it bikeable, would be, really nice.
I can't remember because I went through it pretty fast, but the comp plan, does it actually lay out potential paths of connectivity or?
I don't know if it gets into that kind of detail or not. I think it's pretty generalized. It's not that detailed.
Okay.
The crossing that is after the nice new gravel path by the firing range to get to continue on the path. This picture is from Google Street View. There isn't there, and maybe this was there was like an asphalt patch, and the tar lines indicate sort of a lane for you to walk on.
Across there, Rob?
Uh,
Across that driveway?
across the.
We put a
driveway.
pipe in. There was a storm line that was replaced
Okay,
coming off of that hillside off the back of,
So the cut and where it was patched and then
Mhm.
part seems to indicate where you're supposed to walk.
okay, well, that wasn't the intent.
But otherwise,
That was just dumb luck.
well, yeah, that's what I figured. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to know where you're supposed to go.
Okay.
So next time striping's done, if that is where you want people to go, actually, that's the question. Where do you want people to walk?
Well, I think yeah, we don't want them walking behind the building.
That's the other option.
Right.
I did that on my way back.
Yeah,
And it's a
that gets
little
pretty wet back through there, yeah.
creepy. So,
Yeah, we could probably stripe that across there. We'll take a look at
I
it.
would say that, I mean, the honeysuckle tunnel there gets pretty dark in the summer, once it's greened up. And in terms of, I don't know, Richard has sometimes mentioned about people feeling more comfortable being in open spaces. I would be like, maybe not want, you know, I'd be uncomfortable for women walking through there or kids.
I mean,
Just 'cause it's-
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just kind of a creepy enclosed area.
pretty tense.
It's dense, so there's plenty of,
But it's,
and it's long. It's a long stretch like that.
and once you get through that little ravine where those steps are batted up, and that next section's becoming the same way.
Another just comment, there's a lilac, one of the ivory silk lilacs, where the 3-slot parking area is off of Kelso. We thought, if we could just stick to the natives in the park, that would be ideal. It has some deer damage though, so.
Is that down by the, where the creek goes through and the property that the municipality bought like about 10 years ago or so? or-
It's right by where you can turn and park before you would approach the laydown area.
Like right below Bethany. Like in the S turns right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if I don't know, that's where I figured you're supposed to park if you wanna park in the park.
Yeah, I would say, I think it's,
But yeah, you're right, Tom. That was the property that the municipality purchased about 10 years ago. That's where Ron wanted us to put a parking area in there. Ron Block, that was his,
Road.
yeah.
Very expensive. The intersection's very
But the
expensive.
stream does run down through there too.
That's one of the.
And then it runs underneath of, Kelso and Rob Hollow at the bottom.
There's a cool little waterfall down there. It's
Oh, yeah.
about 3 feet tall.
but to that point, I would agree that, I think it's like those non-native trees would work well in the municipal parks, but for our natural parks, so to speak, it would be best to try to put in native species.
I don't even remember planting it down there, to be
I
honest
was
with you.
thinking,
I mean, I don't.
Maybe from a while ago.
Maybe someone else planted it there, cause there would be no reason for us to put that down there. That's a street tree and that's all we really use them for. We don't put those in the park anywhere. You sure that's what it was?
It has a tag on
Oh, okay.
it. Yeah, sorry.
It takes some effort to get it down there.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
I
no,
don't.
it's basically where okay. If you're on Kelso, you have the chained deer maintenance access road, not that. Where you drive up to go to what I think is
The leaf
the
composting.
leaf composting area.
You can pull off to the left right there.
There's a swinging gate up there that's locked.
Well, I didn't
It's a
even,
metal pipe, yeah,
I didn't even get to the gate.
but steep driveway.
Steep driveway and then
Steep.
3 slots of parking
Yeah.
ish. It's right there. If you look off out of your car, it's right there.
The good thing is that they're not known to be invasive, so that's helpful.
Not yet, Kelly, not yet.
True, right.
Give it time. Okay. Next.
I guess that's like the mailman throwing the flyers in the catch basin. Our guys are throwing trees down there, maybe.
We have to plant 8 trees. Let's
Yeah.
just dump it off here.
We'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You can probably tell from the tag when you get it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should be able to tell from the size, really.
Yeah, it looks relatively.
Is it planted?
Recent.
It's planted?
Do you have a Google map of Rum Hollow?
Sure.
It was in the ground? It wasn't just set off to the side or anything?
No, it's.
Okay.
So again, to this issue of the crossing of Rob Hollow and the switchback. Like, the guy who told me this, they're part of a regular Saturday morning walking group that goes through there. And it is regularly used, so what? If I were to try to get something done, what would be my first step?
We'd have to figure out what we're gonna do. I mean, I've been down there, Peter. I honestly
You
don't know
think
what
there's a solution?
I don't know what we would do. I mean, you know, how would you address that? I don't know.
Not an
Sure,
engineer.
yeah, like a regular trail building
Yeah.
crew. I've seen people, I know, I've seen trails, but it takes someone who knows how to build
Right.
trails.
And I mean, you're looking at a steep slope there. I mean,
I
that's,
know.
That's-
No, I'm not saying it's not a
Yeah,
challenge. I'm not
timbers
saying
into it,
and it's in a place where you don't have access. How do you get, if you wanted to use equipment, it's almost all handwork back there, you know,
Get
so,
trail building crew
Yeah.
project.
yeah. So we'd have to have a plan first, and then we'd have to figure out how we're gonna,
Might do more harm, not harm, but
Cut it in.
to remove the remnants of what is decent footing there, because it probably helps you get up that hill and
Yeah.
it keeps it usable. But obviously, it's not a good experience or, you know, in any
There,
type
the house. Sorry,
The trees.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Just go out a bit. It's just for in case somebody ends up on the sport.
yeah, that's
field.
going up to the leaf processing site.
So just
There used to be a house right there, Rob.
a little aside,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago, I had a person who's a commercial developer whose son played soccer. And he was frustrated at soccer fields and he, you know, he's a professional at this and he looked around and what were the options for Mount Lebanon? And, you know, for what it's worth, I tried to get this put in the master plan and wouldn't even get considered. But he didn't know why the city, if you look at the curve of Airwood now, there'd be a lot of traffic going down. Why the city couldn't condemn 3 houses there or buy them and give access to Rob Hollow from that side and then use the old, you know, laydown area, which used to be sports fields and put a soccer field in there with.
Would we process the leaves that we haul?
Well, I don't, that's the point, but just, yeah, it would take away that, but, you know, when he looked at he said at every property he could in Mount Lebanon. That was the only solution he could see as a commercial developer for a soccer field.
That's actually not in Mount Lebanon either,
Yeah.
just so you know, that most of that property where you see that opening.
Yeah.
3/4 of it is in St. Clair, Upper St. Clair.
This
The
here?
Yep, the property line runs like northwest to southeast.
I can't imagine condemning a home.
Well, you just buy it for market, you know, if you said if you could find 3 homeowners that would sell their houses, you'd need 3, he said, to
Three
create enough,
contiguous.
yeah, to create enough of an opening. But then you could get, I mean, it could be anywhere along that stretch, I think what he's saying, but you need 3 houses that people would sell, and then he thought you could, if you, again, there's the issue of traffic coming down those roads. That he thought you could feasibly put a field there. Because the issue is we keep trying to come at it from Rob Hollow Road, and says that's not the right way to come at that space, you need to come at it from Atwood or Arrowwood. And if you could do that, then Rob Hollow could be, you could put sports fields there, in his opinion. I mean, he's a professional developer, I'll take his word on it, but that was kind of his conclusion of his own personal study of looking all over the city and where he thought the best opportunity for a playing field was. But it would take buying 3 houses.
1.2 million right there, probably, just like.
And so regarding that hillside, the dangerous area that we were talking about, there's a house that backs up to that ravine. Is it the house on Folkestone that has the pool? You can see in this image. No, actually it's not. No, I think it's the next, where are we? A little bit further over. Yeah, but the, you know, that had that massive retaining wall built maybe a year or 2 ago. Is it that? Where is
That's
the?
not in the same spot. That's
Okay, so then where
That's
is
on the
that?
opposite side. There's a ravine that runs north to south there where Rob has his cursor right there. It runs north to south.
Okay,
It's a real deep,
okay,
Burlwood's on the left side. Yeah, there you go.
that's it there. Okay, so that's the dangerous area. How did the contractors who built that wall, that retaining wall, gain access?
It came off the street, Folkestone,
Oh, they did.
yes.
Well, we went through, there was some other work, utility or drain tower, you brought equipment through there.
We
You did
came
a
up from
nice
the
job.
bottom, we came up from the bottom and
Came through the-
yeah, we had to redo a storm line there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a way to get at it from Painters Run Road into that gully.
Yeah.
Brought heavy equipment in and, you know, they didn't have to cut too many trees down, I mean, but
but I still don't know what you would do, cause you can't reshape the hillside. You're not gonna change the slopes of the hillside. You
No,
can
right.
scrape it, but you're not gonna, you can't change the grade, exactly.
It would take someone who knows how to build trails like on mountains and
Mhm.
hillsides, like the formal trail build.
Right. Even just to make it safer than it is. I mean, it's just it's wholesale, just unsafe back there, really. It's dangerous. But yeah, I agree. I think even just, carving out a single track trail back there.
Yeah,
Just
but
to
then the
make it-
water's gonna run down through there, it's gonna channel it. I mean, over time, it's gonna create probably a deeper channel and more problems than you have. I mean,
That's where people know how to build trails, they know how to do the drainage
Yeah,
and where to take
yeah.
it off and,
yeah,
yeah.
Cable bridge.
I mean, that's really,
At some point is the answer that you can't have a.
yeah, you can't, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer, is that that's not a place we go.
Well, and it may be you just have steps down and steps up, that with the right properly built steps, that may be the.
Mhm.
Versus trying to do a switch back and
Yeah.
forth, you may just need to bite the
Or
bullet.
taking 4x4s or 4x6s and pounding spikes through them, yeah.
But that would be
That's a good
something-
idea. And putting a landing, maybe building a landing, just thinking about how you would traverse, or not traverse, but how you would, how somebody would climb that. That'd be, gosh, how many steps, 30, 40 steps.
The other thing is, if you needed to use a lot of gravel, like how they got in before, you could get in there with a truck with gravel, but you like Rudy said, you'd probably have to hand and carry the gravel. If you wanted to build steps, but again, so you have to have a contractor who knows what they're doing to build a
Mhm.
trail to take a look at that, I would guess.
Not to get too digressing, but maybe that whole trail could be abandoned and we could snake something along, along Cedar and along Painters Run. And then, tie in where the gully is and the bridge, the
The
existing.
slope's pretty steep right there too, Tom. That's steep, that's a very steep slope right there. where Rob has his cursor. And there's not a lot of room along there. I mean, until you get to
I don't
there,
know.
yeah, you can get to that point, but beyond that, to go west is difficult, to say the least. Even if there was a little bit of a flat spot there, but there's not, that slope comes right down to the, I can't remember if there's a guard, I don't think there's a guardrail there. I think it comes down right down to the, gutter. Yeah, there is. Yeah, the county built that along when they widened Painters Run the 4 lanes.
Something to ponder in the future. Pretty cool.
Mhm. I think the steps are a great idea.
Work with like the Student Conservation Association or some other folk that do a lot of trail design and know what they're doing, as you say, Richard. At least get somebody to tell us what's sensible and what ain't.
I definitely don't know how to do it, but I know when you see it, wow, that was done right.
Any other comments about Rob Hollow? Park visits in general? Okay. Moving on to old business. Forestry and invasives, just mentioned that Tim will be giving an update to the commission, report to commission.
Yeah, he sent us an email, about a week and a half ago, said that he was gonna be out, I believe this week.
Yeah, this week there's.
Yeah, just final, making sure on some things, that he had surmised in his report to make sure that it's accurate.
After, or in sync with when they get it, and they get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
posted on the web probably too.
Park design guidelines and trail restoration.
We had just a brief email exchange, but I pointed out that the comp plan calls for just this and on a larger scale, and I think it's kind of beyond what we would be doing. It seems like unnecessary work for us at this point if they're calling for a more professional, bigger plan.
Transportation plan. in
Yeah.
general.
It seemed like
Right.
it's kind of evolved. I don't know, what do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, I would agree. We did come up with a table of contents, which I have not yet circulated. We had to edit it down a little bit, but yeah, my recommendation at this point is that if it's been, generally the idea of creating it has been approved via the comp plan, that's the route we go, because if we were to do it internally as part of the board, it's probably just gonna circle for a really long time. So.
There is a Pennsylvania, I think I mentioned it when we first started, Pennsylvania Guide to Trail Building and Trail Surfaces.
Yeah, I think you sent
The
something.
library has,
Yeah.
and,
Our engineer has worked with Montour Trail and so forth too, so.
and there was
they
that
have a really
St.
good
Clair
spec.
stuff.
Right,
So,
right. I think Richard sent
And
something
there's
from
a-
Penn
yeah, the
State.
federal
too.
government does one for disabled trails,
Right.
like including like subsurface layers. It's pretty technical.
I think there's plenty of reference materials.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah,
do we want a unified standard for Mount Lebanon? I would say yes, but I think it has to be part of a larger plan, especially if they're talking about trail connectivity and then accessibility, because that dictates what kind of trail it is as well. And whether it's bike trails or whether it's pedestrian trails, all those things have to play into it. So it's become kind of we still do have the issue of we have gravel on some trails and wood chips on others. And, but I think in a greater scheme of things, probably,
Well, for the board transition topic, we'll talk about artifacts. If you think it's valuable to include the table of contents that you have as an artifact. from
Sure.
the board, we could do that. Then.
Yeah, because it does go beyond trail. What we were just talking about, to trail design to include things, as we've talked about in the past, you all know, shelters, I don't think we have signage in it. Although it would be great now that we've moved forward on signage to put some of the standards that we're going to be implementing within the guidelines, but site amenities. So yeah, I'll circulate that.
And then, given that, shall we close this item then? I propose we close it.
That's fine. Just one note, just for everybody's information, the Conservancy met a week or two ago to plan for work days and things. Rudy will send you a schedule. But I think the focus, at least for the coming year, is going to be on, continue work on the riparian project at Bird Park and a few other more invasive and replanting. And we're kind of getting out of the trail restoration and maintenance business, not that we could ever do it ourselves anyhow, other than, getting the trails ready for school in the park and Bird Park as we do every year. So.
and if you guys run into something that needs touched up, let us know, if we
Yeah.
can run down there with a skid steer or something.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I would love to have a trail repair brigade and just go through park by park, but obviously it's not happening, so.
Focus the resources we've got.
Exactly.
Okay, everybody okay with closing that item then? Yep. Main Park Master Plan,
I haven't heard anything since we picked the contract.
No, they made one presentation to the commission, I think 2 meetings ago. And they're supposed to come back. They got comment from the commission at discussion session. It was an extended presentation. And they got feedback, and then they're supposed to come back, incorporate those thoughts.
The feedback was very positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the philosophy.
Convert a lot of it.
Yeah, that was not popular, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That actually.
Yeah.
Just gonna
I did see that.
skip down to number 5, slope along Cedar across from tennis center. I just kept it on the agenda. Because we did have one question from the last conversation. I'm just, putting it out there that Andrew was going to, Commissioner Flynn was gonna ask if the area could be looked at as part of the main park master plan. I'm guessing we don't have any feedback on that. I don't have, okay. Just wanted to get it into the notes that it's still on the radar.
I recall when we were doing the spec, that was brought up that space should be considered part of the main park. That may have not gotten into it, but I do remember talking about that, I'm pretty sure we did.
Okay. It'd be interesting to know where it was in the RFP or in
Yeah, I remember that coming up and saying, hey, main park, that's also city land, you need to include that in the overall planning, it's usable.
Rob, do you want me to follow up with Commissioners Flynn and Grella?
Yeah, that would be great, to keep that moving. If it's gonna move, we have a month, so. For us, excuse me, I'm about to lose my battery. Okay. Want to come back to the topic above, but was there any new business that anyone wanted to bring up?
I'm not sure, I guess this does fall under new business, but, I have to do with two things in Bird Park. One is at the new construction off of Washington Road. They've built, kind of an erosion, channel with stones, kind of like you would see going down to a creek or something, but it's going down to the trail. So it looks like they're channeling stormwater through this. I have a photo I can show you. It's not far from Washington Road. And I would just want to know that that got through the inspection office.
Yeah, why don't you share that with Rodney Sarver, if you don't mind, Peter?
It doesn't seem right.
Okay,
I mean, it looks like,
he's-
almost like you would have a waterfall there, but it's going right, and the path is showing signs of water.
because they manage the construction sites, so, that's private development. So if you wouldn't mind, if you'd just shoot that over to him and they can take a look at it. I know the other stuff that you had concerns with in the back, they had looked at in the
Right.
past, so,
Yeah, they put an erosion sock
yeah.
all around the base of it. So that, I mean, that will look.
Yeah, that's, for development, that's required, that they manage the stormwater on the property, but for that, I'm not sure.
Okay. And then the other thing, which I guess would also be a Rodney thing, is the person with right at the bend of Youngwood has built a fence that encroaches significantly on the park.
Yeah, they would need a permit for that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, at least based on what I see on the Allegheny County maps and on X, which I use,
Mhm.
it goes like this to the house, and they built the fence
Is
basically.
it like a
taking up
cyclone
lot.
fence, 4-foot cyclone fence?
No,
or-
it's that stuff you get at Home Depot that you roll out green fence with stakes, so it could come down pretty easily.
Okay,
But they have developed it a bit, they put stone pack down, and, I think part of the attempt may have been to stop cross traffic from St. Paul's. And that land is theirs, but in the process of doing so, they've taken a significant chunk of public land.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that would be,
So the first house on Youngwood or the?
no, it says you come down Youngwood, it's right at the bend.
on the turn,
They
the
own
last
two
house, that'd be
parcels.
the last house then,
That's
right?
the house that is construction goes into the.
No, it's not good. Oh, yeah,
The one that
it borders,
I think
there's
it's
no
somewhere-
setback.
If the
From the
county
border line.
maps are correct, that house can never be sold. That's the one where their structure actually crosses the line into the park,
Right,
which I've had questions how that house got permitted in the first place. Because it's even if, the county maps are wrong, it's not anywhere near the setback. It's supposed
so
to be.
it's the next map showing the border.
Okay.
Right up to the mud.
Yeah.
And then.
So they're
That's the
suing,
last
that
house on the
house,
left.
that they're in a lawsuit with the church over
So
drainage.
this is the,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just a.
But at some point, you had said the county maps aren't correct, the geomaps?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering what the status of the quasi, or
That's right.
we couldn't afford
Yeah, that,
surveying, but I thought,
yes. this
Gateway is
They
going to
al-
do
they
some
also-
sort of quasi survey or intense GIS work or something, I forget.
Yeah, now
Exactly.
I believe you're right. We
Yeah.
just,
This is part
we
one
did get
here.
numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one where I've
Well,
been,
actually,
you know, especially
you
after.
look here, this is a, so I can't move it, but that's actually the border of the Washington Road property.
Okay.
That's when, especially after talking to the state about the Project 70 lands, if they actually, they observe that, they have to immediately issue a demolition order. They have no discretion. So there is like zero tolerance. They said if they see patios, anything built up, they immediately have to order it removed. So, yeah, if you look at, when you do the county lines on it. Yeah, it should,
Get the Allegheny County website.
That's their property there, Rob, where you had your cursor a little bit ago. That parcel's theirs. And 61's theirs too.
it's funny, because on the county one, it shows that point going into it's all the way into their house. So it's, and then there's some kind of structure that goes out into that corner area. Which is Project 70 lands.
Rob, are you able to put on the satellite? I think there's a shed maybe that goes. Are you talking about the southwest corner, Richard, that there's a structure there? I
Yeah,
think it's
something, when you
that.
look at the county maps, it shows some kind of structure going over there. I couldn't tell if it's the house itself or what it is.
Mhm.
Kind of like a mudroom.
Hit that on the bottom left, Rob, where it says layers, that little rectangle. If you just hit that, it'll throw the orthos on there. Bottom left corner. Bottom left, yeah, there you go. Just hit that. There you go. You're not gonna see it because of the canopy.
I can show you this after the meeting, Richard.
But that's just, yeah,
That's all.
that's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
what's the status, there probably isn't, have time to start about it. Earlier this year, I guess it was last year now, we talked about the survey and that was like prohibitively expensive. And Gateway was going to do some sort of high-tech GIS or some alternative
Yeah, that was,
in lieu thereof, but
LiDARs?
LiDAR, yeah, LiDAR.
is that happening or?
I'll have to follow
if
up
they
with
could do
them.
one thing.
We didn't get anything, so I'll have to go
Can
back
you
to
show the
them.
property lines again?
Hold on, I'm getting the county up.
That'd be great, you know,
Did
at
you-
least for this part of Bird Park, you know, not all the
Right there.
parks.
So yeah, yeah, the PADCNR kind of did notice this, but they said, you know, they kind of pointed out, well, hold it, the house goes onto Project 70 lands. So if they officially come and observe that, they have to immediately order this demolished. So to me, if we surveyed one thing, somebody better survey this specific point. And as if it's really there, that house, the title can't be transferred, can never be sold. So that's remedial. I mean, that's a big deal. And I pointed out a couple times, but just that point needs to be surveyed. Because if Mount Lebanon allowed that to be built that way, I'm not sure if the city wouldn't be liable, because that should have never passed inspection or been allowed. And you got a homeowner who can't sell their house and they were allowed to build on land that the city didn't have authority to give them, you know, even if it were Project 70 land, the city could say, well, we'll give you an easement. City doesn't have authority to do that on that land. So somebody really needs to survey that point. It could be that this land, this Allegheny County map is wrong, but I mean, it shows it right into the structure.
And just a tidbit of info for what it's worth, not that it makes a difference, but those folks are we're interested in selling that property last year, almost did. So I
it's
don't know,
part-
just FYI.
So that 193 H150 is Project 70 land. There's no setback. They can be right up within an inch of it. But that piece that's in that lower corner, that's immediately, if state is notified. All it takes is one person to complain. One person, like if I would formally complain to BADCNR, they would have to act and they would come check it and then they would order it demolished.
Yeah, I can't speak to what was done whenever that house was built, so I don't know what to tell
Yeah,
you.
it's built in 2005.
The house?
Really, that
Yeah.
new?
No, it wasn't. That
Go
house,
check the, okay, it's a new house.
no,
2004?
no, the house is old. The house,
Last sold, perhaps.
yeah, maybe.
It was relatively new.
Well, maybe we should move on.
Yeah, we're just gonna do that. So,
Doesn't it have year built on like the first page on general information? I think it's year built is on there, if I'm not mistaken.
At least before 79.
Yeah, it was before that. It was. If I had to guess, because of the architecture and so forth, that's probably,
The recording,
40s or 50s.
that's the most recent owner recording date?
probably when it changed hands, yeah. Or if I had to guess on that house, I'd say it was built in like the 1940s or 50s, something like that. That'd be my guess.
And the act was built in 48, there may have been additions put on, but it,
I mean, the other thing I'll point out too, and you have to be careful with the ortho photos because
Right.
it's taken from a satellite, so it's skewed and you're looking on an angle, so it potentially could be, it's deceiving when you look at the
Surveyed at one
parcels.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, surveyed at one point, so, hey,
I'll-
it's 3 feet from the house.
I'll pass it on to, planning.
Cause yeah, the parking spaces, if we're on there, that's one thing, but if there's an actual structure, they said that they don't have any discretion.
moving on.
Unless the person donates their house for public use for all the state residents or something.
Dude, your house is where you just to the left.
Sorry, I just pulled it up, excuse me, on Zillow. It was built in 1948.
That's where it's showing. For some reason I thought it was a new house.
So, number 4 on the list there. MTLSD, invasives management. And I went back because I want to give Craig Grella notes or a letter regarding the school district knotweed. But in doing that, I read the act and there was stuff in there that I guess I had never read it completely. This is the PA Controlled Plant and Noxious Weed Act passed in 2017. And just to winnow things down, the controlled plant, and there's only one, is hemp. So this is how the state will regulate the hemp production going forward. But more pertinent to us is the noxious weed portion of it, which is 3 different classes of noxious weeds, including in class B, many of our favorites, the honeysuckles, the privets, the knotweeds, not bamboo yet, it's under review. But I thought it was interesting in a couple ways. But just to give you some high level stuff, the department may require control of class B weeds. I just listed the class B stuff because that's what we have. Weeds to contain an injurious infestation or may provide education or technical consultation. Okay. But as far as compliance of this law, it shall be a violation of this chapter to fail to comply with any provision of this chapter or any regulation permit requirement or order established pursuant to this chapter. So the permit requirement stuff is about if you have a reason to grow a plant for educational purposes or research purposes, you can get a permit to grow a noxious weed.
Really?
But this act highly controls it, meaning it gives the PA Department of Agriculture the right to inspect your business and.
So is there a difference between cultivating and a natural occurring weed? I mean, is there,
Great question.
yeah,
I looked up, actually, when I read it, this is a couple years ago, the propagate wasn't defined, and that's what I wondered,
Yeah.
what does propagate?
right, are you propagating it or cultivating
By
it?
allowing it to spread,
Right,
the formal definition of propagation would say if you're allowing it to spread, that is propagation.
but are you
Is that what
obligated
they
to
intend?
control it? That's the thing. If it happens naturally on its own,
It seems like this will be open for interpretation.
yeah,
And, discretionary enforcement, or there's all kinds of gray area in this. But I was interested, to see the language here in B, except as established as in an individual permit allowing educational research, it shall be a violation of this chapter to distribute, cultivate, or propagate any noxious weed within the Commonwealth. So we've got a bunch of the Class B weeds, residents do, public property does, municipality does, we've all got it. So then what? And there is a form online, in the program info where you can fill out and submit a complaint effectively to the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture saying, this landowner is allowing or propagating, let's say it's not. And I would like the Department of Agriculture to go and inspect it, and if you find that it's in violation of your law, give them a control order, and then they have X number of days to address it or request a hearing. And then if it doesn't, and this is what's important to you guys, or all of us really, but mainly, if the state says it's a problem and the owner doesn't address it, the municipality is duty bound to address it and bill the landowner the cost. Thought, okay, well, this really,
What if you take that further and if it's on municipal land though?
so those are the additional kind of wrinkles, if it's on municipal land. or
Doesn't
public
include
property.
something as crazy as garlic mustard, everywhere.
That's
Well,
a class B.
that's the question too. You know, there's a difference between a noxious weed and an invasive. They can overlap, but there's differences. So are these spelled out or listed somewhere?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're scheduled.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
the garlic mustard, honeysuckle, privet, all fall into class B, meaning they're present in the Commonwealth and the state would like to control.
To me, what I was gonna say is, to me, distribute means the nurseries that are selling stuff. And, whether website or whatever. Cultivate, that to me is the more questionable one. Propagate seems to me would be like you're grafting, you're dividing plants, you're
Planting seeds?
seeds.
Yeah, because,
Cultivating, that's the question one, because
right,
I cultivate my garden. You cultivate your flower bed. So those are existing plants. So you could technically be cultivating a calorie pear that's standing there. And so that then becomes illegal. I
well,
don't know.
for example, too, noxious weeds are called out in grass seeds too. I mean, they have to be certified.
When I read this, I did some research, like one of the intents was, let's say it was more for farmers. Your neighbor has a large growth of knotweed and they're not controlling it, and it's spilling into your cornfield. So you can call up the Department of Agriculture and say, look, my farmland is getting destroyed by this party's knotweed that's not in control. I need a control order.
Yeah, but from a
So-
legal viewpoint, it has to be one of these three. Either,
So
are they cultivating it or are they propagating?
Propagation would be, at least what I could tell, if a patch of bamboo or knotweed crosses about a property line, that's propagate, you're allowing it to propagate. That's about the most I can figure out.
So it'll be interesting to see if there have been any cases that have been, adjudicated, whatever the precedent is on this.
You could call, I've talked to people at the ag department before, you could just pick up the phone and call them and ask. They're generally, okay, I haven't called anybody there in a couple of years, but.
But what's the end goal here? I mean, what's the purpose?
Well, this a couple of years ago, the school district passed a no glyphosate ban because
Right.
parents. So now the maintenance, Ron Bach used to work with the maintenance guys to control invasives on the school properties, he used to help them at times. And then they got told they couldn't use any form of treatment, so they gave up. So if you get a Department of Ag control order against the school district, that then doesn't matter what the school district says they can't do, somebody's got to come in and treat it and get rid of it. So it lets them get around their
Yeah.
resolution not to use any herbicides on school properties.
They don't have to do it. The municipality's duty bound to do it.
Or they just have to do it because they're under a state order.
Yeah.
If it's determined to be a problem,
Correct.
the PDA has to be the one that makes that
So
determination.
there was a question, if it gets bad enough, should we call the Department of Agriculture and ask for a control order against the school district so the school district can do what it has to do?
So given that this board is taking a new form soon, I mean, what do we see as the specific application of this right now?
Right now, it is,
If it were to be,
let the school district know via Craig that we would like them to control the knotweed at the high school and at Markham.
this is mainly towards the school properties.
Right now, yeah, that's where this is.
You can clearly see where seeds from the high school are going to neighboring yards and it's starting to sprout and it's starting to affect homeowners
But
in the area.
this is from 2017. How much momentum does it have? How many cases have there been? I think it's just something to be on your radar because you will ultimately be the party that's going out and doing this stuff.
Well, they're
Well, we-
updating it every year and
We would hire a contractor to come in and do that, yeah.
just,
If they're gonna foot the bill, I mean,
That's true.
See, this is very normal and like established in Wisconsin and it just goes like clockwork and you call and then exactly the city calls a contractor does the work, they send the bill to the city and the city bills them. And it works. So like if there's abandoned, like a lot that's got knotweed or something on it, somebody just complains, points it out, the order goes out and it gets fixed.
So, I'm a resident there or owner there, the Kings Grant complex in Scott that has Tree of Heaven along the parking lot. The township, we could ask them to take those trees down. And if they didn't do it, we could ask
first you'd have to file a complaint.
right?
we could just ask them, please take those trees down. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're-
It's always better to go.
Yeah, without involving this.
Right,
But this does give some,
leverage.
and if they didn't do it, then have it cut down and build.
But
Well, then you're
you'd have to
crossing
find out
over
what
onto their property too. Is that there's another sticking point. I mean, you can
It would actually-
prohibit somebody from coming onto your property.
It would actually be Scott Township's
Yeah,
responsibility in
right,
that case.
right. But I mean, even a private property owner, you can prohibit somebody from coming on your property.
So that's all in this. It's a pretty long act.
Yeah,
They can't, it's illegal to prevent an inspection. It's illegal to prevent the remediation.
so it's mandatory. It's,
It's,
if you get a control order.
if you have a control order, it seems like
They can,
Well, I guess the next step would be research, what does it take to get it, what
Yeah.
does it take to get a control order, and are they issuing them? Because when I researched this law was relatively new.
How this works
4 years ago.
hypersensitivity law.
Right.
that too, yeah. Yeah,
The other aspect of this that I thought, because I'd forgotten about the Markham School, quite frankly. Back last spring when we looked at the Saldo ordinance and linking it up to, the noxious weed list and
invasives.
invasive list and the adoption or modification of that ordinance was pending the finalization of the municipal plan, so I assume at some point that will move forward.
I know Ian has the notes on all that. He's,
That's a great thing to bring up, Tom. So reading this, that also informed for me, the conversation we had a couple of years ago when we were talking about our own laws. And whether or not it was right to create our own ordinance, whether the solicitor agreed that it would be even valid. Well, I think it's all covered. So a couple of things. This is the form that you would fill out if you wanted to file a complaint. And it includes a section for does your municipality have a weed ordinance? So that right there tells me we probably could have had our own, but I don't think we need to. I think I think this state law covers, will cover everything, and it would be, superfluous to have our own rules.
It's just a shame that the high school property is gonna get worse, and it goes exponential to remove it, it's harder and harder. And if they let it go for another 5-10 years, that property's just gonna be a patch of knotweed. Yeah, and is that what Mount Lebanon really wants in the center of Mount Lebanon on Washington? Is a high school that's, the whole edge is a big patch of knotweed, nice.
If I recall, there was something where this was brought up like a year or two ago, and I thought they did agree to do something, right? You were gonna
I don't
go,
think it ever got back. I think we sent it off
somebody was gonna be an intermediary to talk with them
and it never.
prior.
It never came back.
And I think at this point, filed a complaint.
Well, I think another try with commissioner to school board liaison is the right move. And
Well,
then,
maybe in the summertime, maybe with some pictures and like, because to a layperson, know what you're talking about, say like, here's a picture of the knotweed patches, this is left alone, and that whole stretch along.
but even here,
on the front of high
maybe
school
wait
is
till
gonna
the-
be, that the whole slope is gonna turn into knotweed.
in regard to the thought of this is mainly for farmers, the answers are in this form. Is it cropland? Is it a natural area? Is it a lawn? So, I mean, they're looking at it
what a lot, yeah.
holistically, or even your garden, it's,
Right.
so it's not just for cropland.
So, I would also say to wait till the Oikos report is out as
Yeah.
well. Because part of it is educating about why the knotweed is bad
Right.
and even for the commissioners, educating about, the downsides of invasives.
Yeah, and when it does come to that time, I think it'll also be important to talk about how it's now encroaching on private property. So there are houses on Park Ridge that have patches in their yard, just up from the high school parking lot. Probably also on the other side, but I'm not sure. And so then once it goes into private, then, so if the homeowner is not managing the land or not interested in doing it, then there's no way to control it, and it'll just continue to move.
Great test case where a homeowner did propagate. They went out, and cut patches of knotweed and put it along their back lot line to create a privacy hedge. And it's now spreading into the neighbor's property, and I was asked, what could they do? Is there anything they could do against this homeowner who deliberately went out in fields and cut plugs of knotweed and did a 4-foot, 5-foot, planting of knotweed in their back lot line? So that is propagation. They deliberately planted it, and they're growing it in their backyard, and so their neighbors can't see into their backyard. And now it's spreading all over the place.
Great choice for the problem.
So that's, there's no doubt they propagated, after 2017. So.
Anyway, so that's, I wanted to show that, because again, reading it, I didn't realize that the municipality had, not just ours, but any, had a role in this. And I also think further evidence, we don't need our own ordinance, it's already here, it's state.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that at least talking to Ron in the history, it's not that the maintenance staff at the schools don't want to deal with it. But when the school board passed that, you may not use any herbicides on school property, they basically ran. And they, at least, they kind of gave up at that. Cause they're, otherwise you gotta dig it out by hand and that's hard.
We're out competed.
Yeah, it's, but yeah.
What we did down in Miracle is just out competed with, with a natural turf stand.
Yeah.
That's literally the only thing we did. It's just start mowing it, more frequent mowing. And we overseeded that area for 4 years, 5 years in a row.
So that would be an option.
It's not, it's obviously it's a steep hillside, so it's tough, but, maybe there's equipment out there to be purchased or whatever, but.
And it worked, Phil? It worked there?
The reason kids can access the stream at Iroquois is for that simple reason. It used to be about 20 foot deep, that stand, you couldn't even see the creek.
Yeah.
And we just decided to maintain it.
It doesn't like.
Well, that's a good option.
And it's starting to be fouled at lower heights, but you're not gonna beat, you're not gonna have a miniature stand of knotweed, 2.5 inches all summer, so.
The only other way that I've heard of managing it without herbicides is deep shade. Deep, like dense shade. Any sunlight coming through will
I've seen
will
black
allow
sheep
it to grow. Sorry.
where they mow it down and then they put on black sheet plastic to starve it of sunlight. And leave the sheet plastic down for a year or two, then. And I dug it out, I've successfully removed knotweed digging, but you gotta get there when it's really wet, so you can get as much of the roots as possible. And come back a year later and dig out the plants that are left.
Now we can reseed it. Well, that's good. Okay. The only other topic we have is if anyone has any thoughts about what they want to do for commission meetings in the month of February. I'm always happy to join you. If there's anything you want to know long before I talk about the commission.
There were some pretty high winds here in January, with any problem with trees falling or.
Municipal trees, private, a couple private trees fell, but not municipal.
So when you're caught up with your work, is there any
We're caught up.
Is there any opportunity like you get around some of the neighborhoods like where is it, around Southminster Church and stuff, some of the street trees, the branches are pretty low and like being the sidewalk. Is there any chance to just tackle some routine pruning to I know you guys have been so busy just doing.
We're gonna start on removals as soon as we're done with these oak trees, so we have about 140 right now on the books for removals, and we try to do those in the winter time, so we're not dealing with the debris.
There's some streets where there's branches of 3 or 4 feet and they're starting to pit.
We've
You
actually,
just need to do a campaign where you go just for blocks.
we've actually been doing that, actually in the central section on Coolidge, Clokey, Mapleton, Cedar. We had another crew out just with a dump truck, and they were just raising the limbs and doing some elevations on trees where we've been.
Main entrance area, there's some streets along
Yeah.
there where some of the
Yeah,
branches are pretty low.
yeah.
And I know I've been somewhere else on the other side of the high school down, some of those areas are some places where they're.
Usually what we do is when we have the snow crews out, there's snow on the limbs, it has them sagging down a little bit further. We have our guys take notes of where they think we need to hit it, where they're whacking them with the beds or whatever. Then we go out and we elevate on those streets, and that's what we try to do, so. And that's, that's what we try to get as much as we can, and the worst of the worst.
Probably the last thing you
And
did, I didn't know, that's why I was thinking of commission, if you guys had time, then that.
Yeah,
say,
we don't,
hey,
but
there's some
we did.
streets that really could use
Yeah.
some. basic tree trimming.
You have any concerns about that, the lawsuit,
I have
sidewalks? Affecting.
I don't know the detail on that yet. I mean, I
Might
know
be a while
Yeah.
litigation,
yeah, I'm not sure, but I haven't seen anything on it, just
yeah.
what I saw in the
article in
paper,
the
yeah.
paper,
Yeah.
What location is that?
Somebody on Connor Road, is,
Gilkison,
is,
Gilkison,
is it one of those is it a class action?
not yet.
Okay, it's possible class action, but he's saying that, sidewalk owners, residents shouldn't have to pay for sidewalk repair. Municipality should, and they shouldn't have to clear the snow, the municipality should. And, yeah, because the municipality owns or has right of way from the curb, is it right of way or owns?
Street right away, yeah.
Right of way from the curb to how many far in, 7 feet?
It depends, like he's on Gilkison Road, I think that's a 60-foot right of way, that's a 4-lane highway, but that's a state right of way too. And
So-
then the average of our street right of ways is 50 feet, so it's centered on the street, it's 25 feet in each direction, yeah.
He's
That's
attorney,
typical.
so he's been researching it and he's, you know. I think he was served notice to repair his sidewalks or something, and he's claiming that the city should take that expense. But it would be pretty significant, it would be pretty significant. Anyhow,
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Hi.
10 minutes to spare, the first
Wow.
hour.
At this, I met with, some city of Denton employees